great honor to have you with us, Mr. President, on CGTN. I understand this is your first time here in China. What are your impressions so far, and what do you hope to achieve during your stay?
Well, whilst this is my first time in China, my impression about China has been crafted a very long time ago. My grandmother visited China in 1965. She was part of a women delegation coming here, then representing the party I am from, the People's Progressive Party, on a party-to-party exchange program. China has been and continue to be an important development partner, not only for the developing world, but also for the developed community. So China's role in global politics, global economy, global trade, and its global position does not allow you to ignore the influence of China. So as a leader, I am fully aware of the potential of China, the contribution of China, and the emergence of China as an important development partner.
In your meetings with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, he mentioned that this year marks the 170 years of the arrival for the first Chinese in Guyana, and they're now one of the 6 major ethnic groups in your country. How do you reflect on the influence of people with the Chinese heritage have had on Guyana's society since then?
Well, our society, as you rightfully pointed, is made up of 6 different ethnic groups. And the value of every ethnic group is enormous to the history of our country and to who we are as Guyanese people. So our Chinese heritage, our Chinese inheritance is culturally integrated, is socially integrated, is economically integrated into the collective whole as to who make us Guyanese. Over the years, our Chinese population, indigenous, and those who continue to come from China would have played a significant role in the development of our commerce, development of our infrastructure, development of trade and retail sector, and very importantly, the cuisine of our country.
Earlier mentioned about the economic cooperation. I understand, China is Guyana's the largest trading partner. Trade relations have only been deepened during your time in office, but you've also previously said that the strong bilateral ties are not only result in the economic prosperity. So in what other areas can these two continue strengthen cooperation in the years to come?
Over the years, we have seen the contribution of China's development in Guyana in various areas. If we look, for example, at the oil and gas sector, we have CNOOC as part of the consortium in the Stabroek block. That is with Exxon, Hess, CNOOC, and the government. Now we have 11 billion barrels proven reserve. We have just gone out to auction for 14 more blocks. And we are hoping that not only CNOOC, but more Chinese company would participate in this auction. When you look at technology, security, for example, we have Huawei that is critically a part of our Safe City and Safe Country program. They are also part of relationship with the private sector in the rolling out of 5G in Guyana. On the infrastructure side, we have many Chinese companies that are investing and working in the infrastructure transformation of our country. There is great collaboration and partnership on the human resource development and education side, with many of our students studying here in China. There are many exchange programs. Very recently, we have worked out an arrangement where we have a number of Guyanese being trained here in China in aquaculture management, and we are now working with China on our agricultural modernization and expansion plan. And as we move forward in this journey, we are expanding the collaboration to include climate change and environmental and ecological services.
Speaking of infrastructure, I understand that Guyana is the first South American country to sign up to China's Belt and Road Initiative, which marks its 10th anniversary this year. And according to Chinese President Xi Jinping, this was part of the effort to build a community with a shared future. So what does this idea mean to you, and how does Guyana benefit from the involvement of the BRI?
President Xi's idea of the Belt and Road Initiative has been carefully analyzed, I would say, and expanded, modified and expanded into a new area of the shared value system. We have a situation now globally where countries are faced with expanding fiscal deficit, increased debt burden, inability to service their debt. The pandemic has, created a much greater and a more volatile situation. The technological gap, digitization gap, AI coming on stream, the people-centered development, reprioritizing financing, getting the commitment that the developed world would have made in terms of climate financing, the $100 billion, getting them actually to reach those commitments and to act upon the commitments they would have made. So all of these now are new areas that become necessary in context of the SDGs by 2030. And President Xi's approach is to expand, I would say, the Belt and Road Initiative to include all of this in his shared governance framework, shared responsibility framework. And I think that is what makes it very interesting. We, of course, in Guyana, we would have benefited from the infrastructure transformation I spoke to you about, and the investment in our infrastructure. Infrastructure is key for the expansion of sectors, for the opening up of opportunities, the opening up of land for housing, food production, the modernization of the country, the improvement in terms of efficiency and transparency, the security of the country, the security architecture of the country. All of these are areas that would have benefited.
Guyana is said to be on the path to become a significant global offshore oil producer since your country has discovered huge oil reserves off the coast in 2015, generating significant amount of revenues. So how has this kind of a discovery had impact on your country economically and otherwise?
Revenue from oil would give us an opportunity to expand our growth, to modernize at a much faster pace. But what it allows us to do, very importantly, is what our ambitions were even long before oil and gas. And the ambition was to create an economy that is based on a low carbon development framework. So we have the Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030, an economy and a country that takes very seriously its global responsibility, whether it's on food security, climate change, energy security, a country that abides by the principle of service and to humanity, working in the interests of humanity, one in which we'll invest heavily in the healthcare and education, and China is already playing a very key role also in the healthcare sector. We have 6 regional hospitals that is being built and supported by Sinopharm out of China. All of this would enable us to create a very modern, sustainable society, and one that would contribute to an enhanced global environment and would have many of the features of what President Xi wants to achieve in his global initiative and shared responsibility framework.
Specifically, in terms of energy cooperation, do you see any opportunities between
Tremendous
Guyana and
opportunity.
China?
We already have cooperation with CNOOC. And as I said, there are 14 blocks that are out there for auction. We are hoping that more Chinese companies would also get involved in the auction of those 14 blocks. The possibilities of gas in the energy mix. We are going out back for an expression of interest for hydroelectricity, because we want to create an energy infrastructure in Guyana that positions us as a regional energy hub. When you look at northern Brazil, the Guyana Shield, going through Suriname, and then the possibility that exists with downstream industry from natural gas. So yes, I see a tremendous opportunity for cooperation between China and Guyana.
Turning into Taiwan, a lot of Chinese officials have repeatedly said that the Taiwan question is one of its core interests, emphasize the importance of abiding the One China principle. How do you see the significance of abiding the One China principle?
We have made it very clear that we support One China policy. This has been our position all along throughout the now 54th anniversary of our diplomatic relationship with China. We have consistently made this clear and public. So we see our relationship with China as one in which we pursue the social, economic advancement of our people. We do not see ourselves as a country that promotes division. We want to be the country that brings people together. We want the country that brings. We want to be the country that brings nations together. We are not going to position ourselves into situations that would test our principles. And one of the principles we have consistently stood by is the One China policy. And there is absolutely no need for a debate on that.
China and the U.S., the two biggest economies in the world, but the relations have been soured in recent years. And I understand that Guyana has deep cultural and economic ties with the United States. So how do your country balance the relations between Beijing and Washington?
Well, let me say that it goes beyond cultural ties. We have strong, a lot of Guyanese live in the U.S. We have second generation Guyanese who are born in the U.S. So it's people-to-people tie, just as in China, where Chinese is part of our ethnic makeup as who we are as Guyanese. Now, there is no balance that is required because for us, we respect every nation. We value our friendship with everyone. Our friendship and our trust is based on principles. We are in no power struggle. We are part of a global system. We believe in multilateralism. We believe in standing strong to values and principles that promote equity for all of humanity. China is a great friend to us. China is an important partner in our development. The US is a great friend to us and a very important partner also to our development. What I see is a world in which China and the US must work together. It is very important for the global environment. Both countries possess capacity, capability, and economies that no one can ignore.
Against the backdrop of a changing political landscape, Chinese President Xi Jinping has proposed the Global Development Initiative, Global Security and and Civilization Initiatives. They represent China's contributions to the world as well as the potential solutions to these challenges we're facing in this era. So what do you make of these initiatives and the ideas behind?
I've been referring to these initiatives a lot, because I believe that the initiatives are sound. They're theoretically sound, addressing what the global issues are. What President Xi is proposing is a global system that addresses all of these multifaceted issues that we have to confront, especially in context of the SDGs, in context of inequality, in the context of fairness, in the context of addressing the concerns of the developing world, whilst at the same time letting the developed world understand that allowing the developing world space to grow and to bridge that gap rebound to their benefit. But for this to happen, we need to have global buy-in. We need to have everyone participating in this process of global change in totality, whether it's climate issues, food, energy, people, social services, climate financing, restructuring of the global financial system, all of these things he addressed. but he addressed it from a global perspective, a global solution. And any global solution must have global buy-in.